I'm very happy to present my new recording. It's going to be released with piano classics, as well as my last one with the works of Robert Schumann, but this time the new recording is going to be dedicated to the 80th anniversary of Alfred Schnittke, one of the greatest composers of the 20th century, and definitely one of the very important Russian composers. This is a very special project for me, not only because I admire Mr. Schnittke's music and I had already quite a number of opportunities to perform his wonderful works, but because this music has also a lot of very important historical and other correlations which make this recording particularly special and personal for me. One of the pieces I'm going to record is the Concerto for Piano and Strings, which has been written by Schnittke in 1979 and dedicated to one of the most distinguished Russian pianists, Vladimir Krainev, with whom I studied over a decade, as well as I've been his personal assistant in Hanover. And Mr. Krainev has passed away from us just 2 years ago, so this is also going to be a kind of dedication to his memory. By the way, Mr. Krainev would become 70 this year, as well as Mr. Schnittke 80. So, but it's not only this. I have the great privilege to record this concerto with Maestro Alexander Dmitriev and the string soloist of the St. Petersburg Philharmonic Orchestra. And Mr. Dmitriev has made the world premiere of this concerto with Mr. Krainev on the piano over 30 years ago, 1980, here in St. Petersburg. We are going to make this recording. And there are also some interesting coincidences, because it's not exactly right Here now where we're sitting, the recording is going to take place. This is just a recording engineer's room. But we're recording is mainly in the German Lutheran Church, here in the middle of St. Petersburg on the Vasilievsky Island, one of the most beautiful places, particularly here in the city. And this church has been built at the beginning of the 18th century. And this is also important because Mr. Schnittke was extremely religious, spiritual person. And besides of it, he considered himself as the German composer from Russia. So it's also a nice. And then we're also here in the middle of St. Petersburg, one of the most beautiful cities for all Russian people, and particularly for me, of course. And nevertheless, it's a historical place. Among this piano concert, I'm going to record 5 aphorisms. This is 5 pieces, a little cycle for piano solo, which Schnittke has composed 1990 and dedicated to Joseph Brodsky, one of the greatest Soviet poets, and he has immigrated to the United States of America and has been awarded the Nobel Prize, as well as to Alexander Slobodianik as a pianist. Why to this boss? This was not an accident. The basic idea of Schnittke for this work was to perform it in a combination with music and citating of poems of Joseph Brodsky, which Schnittke admired in particular. And also he was one of his friends, and they have very intensive friendship, particularly already after the immigration. And the last piece, but last not least, will be the so-called Gogol Suite. This is a wonderful suite based on music of Alfred Schnittke to one of the famous, one of the really most famous Russian literature plays, based on a play of Nikolai Gogol. And this is an arrangement for 2 pianos, which I'm going to make with the wonderful young pianist Nadia Mokhtari. We're going to record this together. Also, it's very important to mention that Schnittke is probably not that much known to the Western public as also mostly known as a composer for the serious music, but not as the composer of music for movies. And he composed for over 60 movies in his life and many theater plays. So this is, of course, a special kind of his. It's mostly different music. It's, we could say, more understandable, more melodic. But this is also reflects his genius and his ability also to use his polystylistic elements, which actually became a base for his whole music. So this is, I think, for many of maybe listeners, it could be the really new discovering or rediscovering Schnittke, but in a different form.